Chapter 28:45. I know. What I mean is, why did you fall for such a slutty woman? It's not like you. The man laughed disdainfully. In the past, Shin Mingshi would have punched the man in front of him to the ground. He couldn't stand it when people talked bad about Hui Yanyan. But now, other than a cold smile, he didn't have any other reaction. Perhaps his heart was broken. She was willing to climb into an old man's bed to save her mother, who had done all kinds of bad things. Back then, I guess I was blind. Shin Mingshi laughed at himself. Hey, that's not a big deal. But it's a little ugly. I heard that she hooked up with this lawyer before you guys broke up. Isn't she cheating on you? Young Master Shin, we've known each other for a long time. My family is both legal and illegal. Just say the word and I'll stand up for you. What do you think? No need. Shin Mingshi shook his head. Why? Aren't you angry? I think the worst thing you can do is break their legs. If word gets out that she cheated on you, it'll be embarrassing. The rich young master was trying to stir up trouble. Unfortunately, Shin Mingshi was never an impulsive person. It's all in the past. Since we broke up, we're strangers. There's no need to do this. It's meaningless. Then Shin Mingshi picked up his wine glass and poured himself a drink. The rich young master turned around and danced with the model. His phone was on the coffee table. Shin Mingshi raised his head and inadvertently caught sight of the photo that someone had secretly taken just now. In the photo, Hui Yanyan was wearing black stockings. Her long hair was curled and dyed maroon. She looked much better than before, but she was less plain and more coquettish. This wasn't the Hui Yanyan he used to know. The Hui Yanyan he knew was the kind of person who called him Mingshi shyly, cooked for him, and washed his clothes when she was on her period. The woman who wore cartoon pajamas and lay in his arms while watching One Piece. The woman in the photo was more like a demon. Shin Mingshi once again felt a dull pain in his heart. He took out his phone and posted on his WeChat moments. If you take a wrong turn, remember to turn back. If you love the wrong person, remember to let go. I don't remember if I saw this sentence on Weibo or somewhere else. In short, at this moment it was a good medicine to comfort myself. Yes, just treat it as a misplaced love. The woman he thought was his true love had now become a passerby. It wasn't that he didn't love her, but that he couldn't love her anymore. Was he too stupid? A month ago he was still thinking about how to tell his family about the wedding. He had always felt that Hui Yanyan's parents were no longer around and she was pitiful enough. Therefore he wanted to give her a proper position and a proper wedding. Now, Shin Mingshi sneered. At this moment there were a lot of comments on her phone. He looked at them coldly. They were all unrelated people. On the other hand, Tang Chuan replied, "You're a typical person who won't shed tears until you see the coffin. You won't turn back until you hit the southern wall." Shin Mingshi replied to Tang Chuan, "Now that you've shed tears, you've turned back." Tang Chuan replied, "Then everything happened in a hurry. These are no big deal. 10 years later they'll all be dishes with wine." Shin Mingshi replied to Tang Chuan, "Thanks for comforting me, bro." Tang Chuan continued to reply, "You're sure you don't want to go to the court tomorrow, right?" Chapter 28:46. I'm not going. Shin Mingshi was determined not to get involved in this matter. Very good. You did the right thing. You're in the right position. Tang Chuan felt comforted. The next morning after dressing up, Hui Yanyan went out with Lawyer Wang, planning to defend her mother in court. However, as soon as they opened the door they saw 2 police cars. The 2 of them were confused. "Wang Jialai, is that you?" the leading police officer asked. "That's me. You're the head of Ming Zhuang law firm, right?" "Yes, that's me." "What's the matter, police officer?" Lawyer Wang was also confused. "You're suspected of sexually assaulting an underage girl. Based on the client's report, we're taking you back to assist in the investigation. This is an arrest warrant from the police station." "What? Did you get the wrong person?" The bald lawyer's face changed drastically. "You know very well whether we got the wrong person or not. 3 months ago, you used your identity as a lawyer and pretended to help Sun Xiaomin, an out-of-school girl, in her civil lawsuit. She's not even 18 years old yet. Now that she's reported you, we've done a lot of investigation and found that the evidence is conclusive. Police officer, you can't just listen to that damned girl's one-sided story. I'm innocent. She tried to blackmail me but failed, that's why she said that. She's slandering me. Plus, when she showed me her ID card, it said she was 20 years old. I didn't know she was underage. You can't blame me for this." Lawyer Wang, calm down. We're the police, so don't worry. We won't accuse you wrongly. You're only assisting in the investigation. If you didn't, we'll give you justice. So if you have anything to say, keep it to yourself. When you get to the police station, tell our colleagues who'll take your statement. It's useless to talk to me now. Take him away. Then the police officer ordered, and two subordinates immediately came up and took Wang Jialai away. Hey, what are you doing? I still have an important case to attend to. Can't you wait for me to come back? In his extreme dissatisfaction, the old pervert was taken away by the police. Hui Yanyan immediately felt uncomfortable. She clenched her fists. She knew that Qin Chu or Su Yu must be behind this. Otherwise, why did it have to happen on the way to the court instead of being arrested earlier? He simply didn't give Hui Yanyan any time to think of a countermeasure. She risked her courage and slept with the old pervert several times, thinking that he would obediently go to court, but she did not expect that such a thing would happen at this critical juncture. This is so infuriating. After that, Hui Yanyan picked up her phone and called some of her friends for help. Yanyan, I've already asked around. No one dares to take your mother's case. I heard someone said that whoever dares to take the case is courting death. You can't blame them. However, the most important thing right now is that I think you should give it a try. After all, you've been organizing the information for so long. You should understand some of the key points. If you can't do it, you can defend your mother yourself. Try it and see if you can get off lightly. Then you won't have wasted all this time. I'm defending her? Can I? Hui Yanyan was confused. Why not? The problem is that no one is willing to help you right now. Just give it a try. After all, it's a desperate attempt. Someone advised Hui Yanyan. Okay, Hui Yanyan braced herself and drove to the court alone. Chapter 2847. As the parents of the twins, Qin Chu and Hu Min were the plaintiff's family. Therefore they would not be attending the trial. This was already reported by the media a long time ago. Therefore, when Hui Yanyan appeared at the entrance of the courtroom alone, she was immediately surrounded by a large group of reporters. Madam Hua, I heard that you've done a lot for today's case. Madam Hua, do you think you have a good chance of winning today? Do you think you'll be satisfied with the outcome? I heard that lawyer Wang Jialai has taken over the case. Why isn't he here in person? Someone also said that you've broken up with the president of the Shen Corporation. Is that true? Did you think that things would end up like this when you interfered with President Shen's marriage as a third party? I heard that your relationship with Deputy Director Hua is strained. Are you really going to disregard your sisterly relationship this time? You're half-sisters, aren't you? Did your brother Hua Xiqian help you with this case? If your mother loses today's case, will you continue to appeal? Did you break up with President Shen because of this case? Or was there another third party involved? Can you tell us more about it? I heard that you're the only one who will be here today. President Qin and Deputy Director Hua won't be here. Did you meet in private before this? Will you reconcile? Someone even said that you spent 1,000,000 yuan and slept with Lawyer Wang. Is that true? Someone took a picture of you staying overnight at Lawyer Wang's place last night. Did you two have an affair or did you announce your relationship? After all, Lawyer Wang's ex-wife passed away many years ago. Most of the reporters were people who liked to add insult to injury. Their questions were also extremely harsh. Therefore, Hui Yanyan's face turned pale when she heard the questions. If she and Wang Jialai were here today, she might still be in the mood to deal with the reporters. But now she really didn't have the leisure to talk nonsense with them. Everyone, I'm sorry. This is a family matter and I can't talk about it. Please pay more attention to social issues, charity issues and medical issues. Don't pay attention to an ordinary citizen like me. I'm going to court now, so I can't talk about it. Excuse me. Hui Yanyan was wearing a pair of coffee-colored sunglasses. She lowered her head and dismissed the media with a few words. Whether it was her breakup with Shen Mingxi, her relationship with Wang Jialai, her private reconciliation with Hu Min, or today's case, she didn't even want to say another word. God knew how bad her mood was right now. Just like that, Hui Yanyan walked through the crowd with her head lowered and entered the courtroom. Around 8:30, all the court personnel had arrived and were waiting for the police to escort the criminal over for the trial. Ever since Hui Yanyan came back, she had only seen her mother once. After that, she was told that she was not allowed to visit her mother again. Therefore, she missed her mother quite a lot. She didn't know what her mother, who loved to look beautiful, was like now. Was he already haggard beyond recognition? Had he aged more than 10 years? Would he have white hair? Hui Yanyan was actually very immature. Because her mother was too domineering, she always made decisions for her and her younger brother. All these years she didn't have the ability to analyze and deal with things on her own. Basically, she couldn't do anything big. The only reason she pursued Shen Mingxi was because she had a crush on him when she was young. 20 minutes passed. Hui Yanyan kept looking at her watch. Why aren't they here yet? She was a little impatient. Just then the court personnel rushed in. Oh no, the police car escorting the criminal has an accident. Hui Yanyan was shocked when she heard this. Chapter 28:48. What happened? Hui Yanyan asked anxiously. The police car that was transporting the criminals collided with a small truck. They've all been sent to the hospital. We don't know if they're still alive. What? Hui Yanyan, who had been sitting down, suddenly stood up. Which hospital? It's closest to South Side, so they've been sent there, the staff said. Without another word, Hui Yanyan grabbed her bag and rushed out. Then she drove straight to South Side Recuperation Center. South Side Recuperation Center was called a recuperation center, but it was more for emergency treatment and difficult surgeries. Huamin had strict requirements for surgical techniques. South Side Recuperation Center was also famous for treating patients, so more people came to visit. Even some rich people and dignitaries from other provinces would come here to recuperate and treat their illnesses. Hearing that her mother was in an accident and had been sent to South Side Recuperation Center, Hui Yanyan was on the verge of breaking down. South Side Recuperation Center 10 minutes ago, Huamin received a notice from the hospital that people had been sent to the scene of the accident. One of them was severely injured and needed immediate surgery. She rushed down from the office and found that the injured person was Xinjiani. Deputy Director, what do we do now? We need the patient's family to sign the papers. Then we'll start the surgery immediately, Huamin said. I heard that she's a criminal. Maybe we shouldn't save her. I don't think she'll survive, a doctor said casually. To his surprise, Huamin glanced at the doctor's face coldly. As a medical staff, how could you have such thoughts? Deputy Director, don't say anything else. Listen to me. Everyone get ready. We'll start the surgery in 10 minutes. You guys stop the bleeding and give her oxygen. Then Huamin took off his white coat and was about to go in and change into a sterile surgical gown. Huamin, suddenly an ear-piercing scream was heard. Huamin turned around and saw Hui Yanyan. You came just in time. Hurry up and sign the papers so that we can operate on your mother, Huamin urged impatiently. Are you going to do it? Hui Yanyan glared at Huamin with hostility. Yes, I'll do it. Huamin nodded. She had checked Xinjiani's condition just now. She was suffering from intracranial hemorrhage. The situation was very urgent. At this time, a delicate brain surgeon must perform the operation. However, it was still early and the other excellent brain surgeons did not come to work at all. Even if they waited for them to arrive, it would be too late even if they were delayed by 30 minutes on the road. Therefore, Huamin decided to do it herself. There was no good or bad in front of a patient. Even if Xinjiani was her enemy, she would try her best to save her. Then he would wait for the judgment of the law. Yes, Huamin was such a stubborn person. He was extremely serious about his work. If Mr. Qin knew that she was going to operate on Xinjiani right now, he would be furious. Do you think I'll let you take advantage of this opportunity to kill my mother? Hui Yanyan sneered. Hui Yanyan, what do you mean by that? Huamin frowned slightly. He could hear the slander in Hui Yanyan's tone. Don't you know what I mean? We were going to go to court today, but you used despicable methods. First you got Wang Jialai arrested and then I had no lawyer. Then you deliberately caused a car accident to kill my mother. Seeing that my mother didn't die, you sent her to South Side for surgery. Are you going to do whatever you want to her? Hui Yanyan's tone was vicious. So that's what you think. Huamin sneered. Isn't that right? You and your wife are scumbags to the core. You've got a good series of schemes, but aren't you afraid that you'll lose your virtue by doing this? Chapter 28:49. Immoral. Hui Yanyan, what are you doing? Let me tell you, I'm a doctor. I'm not just treating your mother like this. Even if a heinous person was sent here today, I would still do the surgery and try my best to save him. As for whether he'll be executed or jailed after he wakes up, that has nothing to do with me. I only know that I'm a doctor and I only do what I'm supposed to do. Gee, you're so great, Huamin. You're such a saint. Do you want me to write a poem to praise you? Do you want all the media to come here and praise you? You're noble, you're a good person, and you're the kindest person in the world, okay? Hui Yanyan, I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Your mother's condition is critical. If she doesn't get the surgery in time, her life will be in danger. Don't try to scare me. I know all about your tricks. Don't even think about touching my mother. Let me tell you, even if she's a criminal, you have no right to judge her. Your mother has an intracranial hemorrhage. She's in critical condition. I want to transfer to another hospital. I won't let you touch her here. The first hospital and south side belong to you. I want to transfer to the third people's hospital. Hui Yanyan confronted Huamin and wanted to transfer to another hospital. Are you kidding me? You want to transfer to another hospital at this time? I'm afraid she'll die in less than 5 minutes. Huamin was also furious. He really couldn't communicate with these people who didn't understand medicine. Don't try to scare me, I won't fall for it. To tell you the truth, I don't believe you. Didn't you say that my mother had to die that day? Your trap was really ruthless, but you wanted to do the surgery on my mother and take the opportunity to kill her. Then when you came out, you'd say that you tried your best, but my mother still couldn't be saved, right? I didn't. Huamin was serious. Indeed he didn't. In front of a patient there was only a critical condition. Huamin didn't have time to think about other things. Let's not talk about this anymore. Hurry up and push my mother out. We want to transfer to another hospital. I'll deal with you guys later. Hui Yanyan stood at the door and yelled, Your mother is in no condition to be transferred to another hospital. If she moves, her life will be in danger, Huamin warned again. That's my business. Cut the crap. Give me the man or I'll call the police. Vice Principal, give it to her. This woman doesn't know what's good for her. She's courting death, so don't blame us. A few of Huamin's assistants who were preparing for the surgery consoled him in a low voice. Huamin really couldn't bear to see a person who could still be saved walk towards death. Can't you hear me? Huamin, do you want me to call the media here and expose your hospital? Look at how evil your doctors are. You're an idiot who doesn't know what's good for you. Hurry up and take your mother away. Our vice principal kindly wants to operate on her, but you don't appreciate it. Instead you're here nagging. You're so fucking stupid. Get out of here. A male doctor couldn't stand it anymore and cursed at Hui Yanyan. Did you see that? This is the quality of the doctors at Southside. Hui Yanyan felt even more superior. Vice Principal, we can't do it anymore. We'll be the scapegoat. We have to give up on this surgery. Give her the man. The head nurse also tried to persuade Huamin. Hui Yanyan, if something happens to your mother, don't regret it. Don't blame me for not warning you. Huamin gritted his teeth angrily and looked at Hui Yanyan. Chapter 2850. I don't need you to remind me. Hurry up and hand her over. Hui Yanyan didn't trust Huamin at all. It was as if someone had cast a spell on her. She wanted Xinjiani, vice director. The doctors wanted to say something. Give her the patient. They will push her out now. The doctors were overjoyed to see Huamin relenting. They were afraid that the crazy woman in front of them would continue to make a fuss. Plus, if the operation failed, wouldn't the responsibility be even greater? Of course, they didn't know Huamin's real thoughts. They only thought that the vice director was being stubborn. After the paramedics pushed Xinjiani out, Hui Yanyan immediately called for an ambulance to take them away. Mom, hang in there. You'll be fine. Don't be afraid. Hui Yanyan was terrified to see her mother bleeding like a river. Huamin looked at their backs and sighed in a low voice. Xinjiani was in a car accident. I wonder how the others are doing. Huamin suddenly thought of this serious problem. The others are all lightly injured. Xinjiani was the most seriously injured. I heard that she was rear-ended. The policemen in front of her were only lightly injured. Oh, Huamin looked thoughtful. She picked up her phone and wanted to call Qin Chu. But she remembered that some things couldn't be said over the phone. It involved a lot of privacy and secrets, so she gave up the idea. But 10 minutes later, the bodyguards pushed open the door to Huamin's office. A young lady, Mr. Qin, asked us to take you home. Now? Huamin was slightly surprised. Yes. But I'm at work. Huamin was shocked. We don't know. It's Mr. Qin's idea. Maybe he has something urgent to talk to you about, the bodyguard said. Right, wait for me. I'll come out once I'm done with this. No, sir said that we must leave immediately. A young lady, don't make things difficult for us or we won't be able to keep our jobs. The bodyguard also knew that Huamin had a good heart, so he used this as an excuse. Alright, let's go then. Although she didn't know why Chin-Chu was looking for her, she guessed that something big must have happened since the bodyguard looked so serious. Huamin left Southside Recuperation Center in an RV led by the bodyguards. Hui Yanyan returned to Southside again and cursed at Huamin at the door. Huamin, come out. You and I are mortal enemies. It turned out that on the way to the transfer hospital, Hui Yanyan's mother, Shinjiani, died because of intracranial hemorrhage. When they arrived at the Third People's Hospital, the doctor took her pulse and found that her pulse and heart were no longer beating. Her brain was also dead. It seemed that she had been dead for a few minutes, but Hui Yanyan didn't know about it. The doctor couldn't stand Hui Yanyan's crying and screaming. He tried to resuscitate her with electric shock, but there was no response. In the end, he announced that the patient was brain dead. Hui Yanyan couldn't accept this fact. She dragged her body back to the entrance of the First People's Hospital. Then she pushed all the blame onto Huamin. The commotion attracted many patients and family members to come over and watch. Shinjiani's body was lying behind Hui Yanyan. It was a horrifying sight. The security guards of Southside came to disperse the crowd, but Hui Yanyan threatened to kill herself. Ma'am, our deputy director made it very clear that he didn't want you to transfer to another hospital. He planned to resuscitate your mother, but you insisted on doing so. Now that your mother is dead, you come back to cause trouble. Are you trying to blackmail us? How can you do this? You're so immoral. One of Huamin's female doctors couldn't stand it anymore. She pointed at Hui Yanyan and scolded her. Chapter 2851. It's none of your business. Where's Huamin? Tell her to come out. I want her to give me an explanation. What explanation? You're being unreasonable and didn't listen to our advice. Now that she's dead, you're making a scene here. Disgusting. You guys go call the police. The female doctor pointed at the security guards. Soon the police arrived. So what if you're the police? The doctor at Southside killed my mother on purpose. Where's the justice in this? Hui Yanyan said arrogantly. Mom, this isn't a place to make a scene. You're disrupting the order of the hospital. Come with us. Why should I go with you? You're disrupting public order. The hospital called the police. Do you know that? The police were annoyed. Don't you dare touch me. I'll sue you for molesting me. Hui Yanyan pretended to take off her clothes. The young police officers were so scared that they stepped back. No one dared to step forward, afraid of being blackmailed. Captain Ma, what should we do? Call the municipal bureau for help. The police officers could tell that Hui Yanyan wasn't an ordinary person. Since the victim was a felon, many people were involved. Half an hour after the police officers reported what happened, Gao Ran arrived with his team. Ah, good timing. Aren't you a good friend of Chief Hua's? Did you guys really collude with each other? Hui Yanyan stared at Gao Ran and said sarcastically, Woman, you're really pushing your luck. Come take her away, Gao Ran said angrily. What? I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you taking me away? Hui Yanyan looked up at Gao Ran provocatively. You're disrupting the hospital. Do you know how much of an impact you've brought to the hospital and the patients by making a scene here? I don't know. I only know that Huamin and Chin-Chu set up a series of schemes to kill my mother, Hui Yanyan insisted. You have to have evidence before you speak. You can't just slander me for no reason. Everyone come and take a look. The chief of the Municipal Public Security Bureau is friends with that couple, so he's biased towards them. This society is really too dark. We commoners can't live. Hui Yanyan had even instigated everyone to stir up the relationship between the public and the police. Hui Yanyan, I've realized that you're really shameless, aren't you? Your mother is a felon. How can you say that she's an innocent commoner? Why didn't you tell everyone that your mother kidnapped someone else's child and wanted to kill the hostage? After Gao Ran finished speaking, the crowd began to point at Hui Yanyan. Oh, so she's the kidnapper's daughter. How scary. What are you waiting for? Take him away. If you dare to touch me, I'll sue you for molesting me. Hui Yanyan was about to take off her jacket and throw a tantrum again. You two go and take her to the police car. Take her body back to the Municipal Public Security Bureau and let Dr. Lin do an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Follow the legal procedures. At Gao Ran's command, 2 female police officers came out from behind him. They walked up to Hui Yanyan, grabbed her by the arm and forced her into the police car. Xin Jiani's body was also taken away to be processed. This farce finally came to an end. At this moment, inside Akin's ramen, "Hubby, you called me here in such a hurry just to eat noodles with you?" Huamin was brought to Oxan's ramen behind second high school by the bodyguard and the driver. Qin Chu was wearing a black short-sleeved shirt. He sat there with 2 bowls of noodles in front of him. It was obvious that he was waiting for Huamin. "Hurry up and eat. It'll get cold soon." Qin Chu thoughtfully picked up a pair of chopsticks and handed it to Huamin. "Honey, I skipped work to eat noodles with you. This isn't right. I have to go back. I still have a few surgeries to do." Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 2852. Sit down first. Qin Chu waved his hand, his tone extremely gentle. Okay. Huamin knew that Qin Chu wasn't someone who would forcefully interfere with her work. At the very least, he wasn't someone who didn't know what was important. Therefore, she obediently sat down across from Qin Chu. "Eat the noodles first." Good girl. If you have any questions we can talk about them after we're full," Qin Chu comforted her. "Okay." Looking at the steaming hot noodles, Huamin lowered her head and ate with relish. During this time, Qin Chu kept putting beef from his bowl into Huamin's bowl. "Eat more, you've been working very hard recently." "Huh, aren't you afraid that I'll become as fat as a pig?" Huamin laughed. "No, as long as you become as fat as a pig, then you won't attract so many people's attention," Qin Chu said in a very low voice. Huamin didn't hear him clearly. "Huh? What did you just say, honey? Can you speak louder?" "Nothing, let's eat." Just like that, the couple sat in Oxin's ramen and ate the steaming hot noodles. After Huamin finished the last mouthful of noodles in his bowl, he wiped the corners of his mouth with satisfaction and took a sip of soda. "Honey, can you tell me now? Xinjiani was in a car accident and was sent to your hospital, right?" "Yeah, right. I was about to ask you, was Xinjiani's accident really an accident, or did you ask someone to do something to her?" Huamin suddenly asked. "If I told you that I asked someone to do it and hit her, would you hate me?" Qin Chu looked at Huamin and asked seriously. Huamin. To be honest, Huamin didn't know how to answer Qin Chu's sudden question because he hadn't considered it before. "Is it hard to answer?" "No, I'm just not mentally prepared. To be honest, if this was the old me, I might have thought it was wrong. But now, as the child's parents, I don't think you did anything wrong. If you want us to be merciful now, why didn't Xinjiani and He Yongjun be merciful to us back then? If something happens to Little Bean and Pudding, it'll be too late for us to say anything. That's why I understand that you're a father who loves his daughter. Even if it's a little extreme or dishonorable, I'll still support you. Honey, I'm very happy that you can say that. I also know that you don't care about your identity and are willing to perform the surgery on her because there are no boundaries in front of patients. I can understand that," Qin Chu said. "Hubby, am I too much of a saint?" Huamin licked the corner of his mouth. "No, it has nothing to do with Mother Teresa. As a qualified medical staff, perhaps this is the most basic duty. If I have to find a problem, it may be that my wife is too rigid, too pretentious. She does things too methodically." "Wow, so many problems." Huamin laughed. "But even with so many problems, Huamin is still the woman I love the most. Mr. Qin, is today a confession day? Is it okay for you to show off your love to me like this?" Huamin looked at him with a red face and a smile. Qin Chu reached out his hand and gently placed it on the back of Huamin's hand. "Mian Xinjiani is dead." "Dead? Just now?" Although she had expected this, she was still a little surprised. "It's just now." Qin Chu nodded. "So, you were afraid that Hui Yanyan would come back to the hospital and cause trouble for me, so you got someone to get me out, right?" Huamin suddenly understood why her husband did this. Chapter 2853. Yes. Hui Yanyan has lost her mind. As far as I know, she brought Xinjiani's body to Southside to cause a scene. If you're there, it'll aggravate the situation. Plus, you're pregnant and shouldn't quarrel or face a corpse. I'm afraid it'll affect your mood. Say, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not an ordinary girl. I'm a doctor. I see a lot of corpses every day and I'm used to it. It's just that Hui Yanyan is too emotional. She thinks that all her misfortunes are caused by us. She doesn't reflect on what she, her mother, and her brother have done to us and hurt us. So in a sense she's quite pitiful. I don't care if she's pitiful or not. I only care about you and the babies. To avoid these disputes, I hope you can take a week off to rest at home and spend time with the babies. Is that okay? I'm on vacation. Huimin was in a dilemma. Southside was busy every day and it wasn't wise for her to take a vacation at this time. However, looking at Chin Chu's big warm hand on the back of her hand, Huimin's heart softened. He was not a strong woman. She was not the kind of woman who would sacrifice her family for her career. Huimin felt that her greatest happiness in life was brought to her by her husband and children. No matter how strong a woman was, she would return to her family in the end. Therefore, even though she knew it wasn't very appropriate, Huimin still nodded obediently. "Hey honey. I'll call President Wu and ask for a week off. We'll talk about it after the storm blows over." "Good girl. I'll give you a thumbs up." Chin Chu smiled from the bottom of his heart like a child. At the same time he carefully pinched the tip of Huimin's nose with his fingertips. After eating noodles, the couple went back to South Hill Manor. The twins were eating fresh fruit in the living room. Little Bean was eating strawberries with her legs crossed and video chatting with Gao Buin. She didn't care about her parents at all. "Where's Grandpa and Grandma?" "He went fishing at a farmhouse. He said he was going to spend the night there," Pudding replied. "Where's Auntie?" Huimin asked. "Auntie won't be home until 11 p.m. I think if she continues to hang out with Uncle Tang, she'll be eaten by him. She won't even be able to come back for the night." "Mommy, you shouldn't have high hopes for Auntie," Little Bean interrupted. "Huimin, Mommy, you're home early today." Pudding looked at the time on her phone and realized that her mommy rarely came home so early. "That's right. From now on, your mommy will take a week off and stay at home to accompany you." "Really?" Little Bean tilted her head in disbelief. "When have I ever lied to you?" Huimin was so angry that he laughed. "That's more like it. You should have done this a long time ago. Let me tell you, even though we know you're doing this for the little brother or sister in your belly, we're still happy to see Mommy on vacation," Pudding said sincerely. Really?" Huimin said awkwardly. "Really? The probability of seeing Mommy on vacation for a week is like seeing a meteor shower. No, it's more like a tornado." Let me think," Little Bean said excitedly. "Forget it. If you keep talking like this, the end of the world will come. Your mommy is only on vacation for a week. So here's your reward. Hurry up and think about where you want to go." "I'm free." Huimin took off his jacket and walked over. He sat between the twins and hugged one happily. Chapter 2854. "Oh, that's great. Let me think. How about an 11-day trip to Germany, France, Italy and Switzerland?" Little Bean turned her head and asked excitedly. "Come on, your mom only has 1 week off. Germany, France, Italy and Switzerland? You're really daring." Huimin was speechless. "Then let's go to the States. I didn't get enough last time. This time we can go to Seattle or Florida," Little Bean suggested. "No, the flight time to America is too long. I don't want to waste my vacation on the road. If you ask me, we can choose some islands that we can fly directly to, such as Bali, Phuket, Krabi, the Maldives, Saipan and so on," Pudding said. "Wait, are we the only ones going? Daddy, you're not going?" Little Bean suddenly remembered the key person. "You 3 finally remembered me. Why do I feel like my presence is getting weaker and weaker?" Mr. Chin pursed his lips. "Ah, of course not. I love you very much, Daddy." Little Bean immediately flattered him. "Between me and Buin, who do you like more?" Mr. Chin was ruthless. Little Bean didn't know what to say. "Do you even need to ask?" "Of course it's Gao Buiyuan." "Daddy, don't you feel hurt asking such a direct question?" Pudding answered for Little Bean. "Ha." Huimin laughed like an idiot. "Don't talk nonsense. Sis, I didn't say that. Then do you dare to say that you love Daddy more?" "Gao Buin is listening over there." Pudding pointed at Little Bean's cell phone and reminded her. Sure enough, Gao Buin looked innocent and adorable on the other end of the screen. "I like both of them." Little Bean finally chose not to offend either of them. "Hey, my daughter has grown up. I'm heartbroken." Mr. Chin pretended to cover his chest with his hand and said sadly. "Daddy, don't be sad. Since Little Bean betrayed you, you can leave the family property to me. For GK, I can stay single for the rest of my life." Pudding smiled. "Chin Zhao Zhao, you're shameless. How can you fight for the family property so openly? Little Bean looked at her sister in disdain. Little Bean, don't swear. You're a girl, okay? Huamin pulled Little Bean's ear and scolded her. Shit hurts. I got it, mommy. I'll be more careful next time. Perhaps it was because he had been speaking too fluently recently. From time to time he would blurt out a few vulgarities when he was agitated. Such a child was indeed not likable. However, Little Bean insisted that she wasn't a child at all. It was just that her mommy was too strict, so she still had to abide by the family rules. Just like that, Huamin came home early and played with the children until late into the night. She only changed into her pajamas and returned to the master bedroom after watching the twins fall asleep. Hubby, I still have some documents to deal with. I've already prepared the water for you. Hurry up and take a shower. It's been a tiring day. Chin Chu said as he stared at the laptop. All right. After Huamin carefully entered the bathroom, he was surprised to find that he had changed into a new pair of slippers. It used to be a picture of a bear, but now it was a picture of Minnie. Chin Chu also changed into Mickey Mouse slippers. They were a couple's pair. Hubby, did you buy the slippers? Huamin opened the bathroom door and couldn't help but ask. Yeah. Where did you buy them? They're so cute. Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. And they're a couple's pair? Huamin was pleasantly surprised. However, Mr. Chin's words almost made her spit it out. Chapter 2855. I got it from Baotao. Mr. Chin threw out a sentence. You know how to shop online? Huamin was in disbelief. Thought it was fun. I saw it while browsing the web and thought you'd like it. Haha, right? Online shopping is a good deal. This pair of matching slippers should be cheap, right? Huamin really liked Chin Chu's thoughtfulness. After she got pregnant, Chin Chu secretly changed a lot of small decorations and daily necessities in their house. From air purifiers and water purifiers to non-slip slippers and natural skincare products for pregnant women, Chin Chu was full of love. It's not expensive. It's only about 500 yuan per pair. 500 yuan? Were you scammed? Huamin was speechless. I bought it on Disney's official website. Damn, why didn't you say so earlier? Huamin pouted and angrily slammed the bathroom door shut. The huge bubble bath was already filled with water. Huamin lowered his head and reached out to touch the water. The temperature was just right, not too cold, not too hot. Most importantly, there were a lot of rose petals in the bath. The essential oils from before were all gone, leaving behind only natural handmade soap from a luxury brand. It seemed like Mr. Chin really put a lot of thought into this. A woman might not like a man because of how handsome, rich, or awesome he was. However, it was because of how much effort he put into it. No one could resist love from the heart. Just like Chin Chu. Over the years, whether it was when they were dating, when they got married, or when they reunited after so many years, everything he did for her was out of love. Even if it was a rock, it would probably be warm enough to warm it up. Huamin was comfortably soaking in the bath while listening to soft music. Chin Chu was in the master bedroom working on his laptop when Huamin's phone rang. Chin Chu picked it up and saw that it was a confirmation message for Hui Yanyan to add Huamin on WeChat. Chin Chu clicked the past button. Then, without waiting for Hui Yanyan to speak, he quickly blacklisted her. That way she wouldn't repeatedly add him. Following that, Chin Chu set Huamin's WeChat to prevent anyone from searching for him. In that case, Hui Yanyan wouldn't be able to use someone else's WeChat account or add a new WeChat account. As expected, on the other end, Hui Yanyan sent a long message to Huamin. Only then did he realize that his message had been rejected by the other party. Blacklisting me? You're really something. Hui Yanyan sneered. Hui Yanyan knew that Xinjiani's car accident must have been planned by someone. Therefore she had completely lost her mind. She could only find Huamin and say some extremely unpleasant things to him. In the afternoon, Gao Ran took her away and detained her for a few hours before releasing her. However, the corpse was still in the custody of the police. When Hui Yanyan went to Southside, she realized that the security had been increased. She couldn't even enter the lobby. When she went to look for Huamin's car, she realized that Huamin's car was no longer there. She had nowhere to vent her anger, which made her even more vicious. She added Huamin's WeChat account again but was blacklisted. To prevent her from harassing him, Chin Chu set Huamin's phone to only accept calls from people who were listed in his contact list. He rejected all other calls and texts. Hui Yanyan tried several times but to no avail. Therefore in a daze she went to a nightclub and got drunk. Then she called Shin Mingxi. The phone rang for a long time before Shin Mingxi picked it up. Hello. His voice was a little hoarse. My mom is dead. Hui Yanyan only said these 4 words. Chapter 2856. After a moment of silence, Shin Mingxi slowly said, I'm sorry for your loss. You guys must be happy now. He's dead. I spent so much effort but couldn't save her. I'm not happy. You know I've never gloated over other people's misfortunes. I just wanted to tell you that there's a lot going on here, Shin Mingxi corrected her. It's too late to say anything now. She's dead. You guys killed her. Hui Yanyan suddenly became agitated. Even at a time like this you're still so stubborn. I really have nothing to say. Then before Hui Yanyan could say anything, Shin Mingxi hung up the phone. Hui Yanyan wanted to continue talking to Shin Mingxi, but she suddenly heard the beeping sound of the phone being hung up. Damn it, how dare he hang up on me? Hui Yanyan was furious. She called again and again but Shin Mingxi didn't pick up. Because right now Hui Yanyan had lost her rationality and logical thinking. Therefore she wouldn't listen to anything Shin Mingxi said. When Hu Min came out of the shower it was almost 11 p.m. She and Qin Chu went to bed and fell asleep in each other's arms. Maybe Qin Chu was too tired lately but he quickly fell asleep. Hu Min was bored so she took out her phone to read the news, check Weibo and browse forums. Suddenly she received a private message from an unknown number. Hu Min opened it and her expression changed. You really did everything you could to avoid me. You blacklisted me on WeChat right away. My phone is blocked. Hu Min, are you a coward? After reading the message Hu Min didn't immediately ask who it was. Instead she went to her WeChat blacklist to look for it. When she saw Hui Yanyan's name she immediately knew what was going on. She didn't do it so Mr. Qin must have helped her. Qin Chu had also set up the system to reject all calls and text messages. However he did not expect that Hui Yanyan would still harass Hu Min by registering an alternate account on Weibo. I'm not hiding from you. There's no need for me to hide from you. How is it not necessary? You've harmed my mother this time. You deliberately hired a drunk driver to cause the accident and even implicated the innocent. If this were to be exposed, I'm afraid your fake benevolence would also be exposed. What philanthropist? What white angel? It's all fake. Hu Min, you disgust me. Hui Yanyan, I can understand that you're in a bad mood now that your mother is dead, but please don't bite others like a mad dog, okay? You don't have any evidence that my husband hired someone to do it. Even if you did, so what? Didn't your mother deserve to die? Your mother has hurt me a lot over the years. Ever since I was young she bullied me and my mother. My mother, my brother and I live a completely different life from yours. Now that you're not living a good life you're blaming others. Why don't you blame yourself for not knowing how to reincarnate? Why don't you blame your mother for setting you and your brother up? How much pain do you have in your heart? You're the one who can't stand others living a good life, right? Hu Min had always been eloquent. She didn't want to say too much before because she didn't think it was necessary. Now that things had come to this, she didn't have to care about Hui Yanyan's feelings anymore. Hui Yanyan wanted to retort, but she didn't know what to say. Hui Yanyan, remember, God is fair. God knows how many good and bad things a person has done in their life. It's not surprising that your mother ended up like this. I'm surprised that you didn't want to live a good life with Shin Mingxi. Now you're living a miserable life. Don't you think about your child? Hu Min scolded. Chapter 2857. Stop lecturing me. To me you're my enemy. I won't listen to you. I didn't ask you to listen to me. I just wanted to say that as a mother, you shouldn't think about your future. Instead you're always going down a dead end. How stupid are you? Yeah, I'm stupid because I trusted you. I risked my life to save your child. I'm so stupid. Come on, who was the one who kidnapped them? Wasn't it Huasi? Can you get to the bottom of this? Hu Min felt like she and Hui Yanyan were no longer on the same wavelength. Even communication was difficult. I don't care. Anyways, even if my mother dies I won't let you guys have it easy. Fine, bring it on. I've never been afraid of you since I was a kid. I just feel sorry that Shin Mingxi fell in love with a woman like you. Not only did you ruin your own happiness, but you also ruined his. Society is so realistic nowadays. There aren't many men who don't care about the fact that you're divorced and have a child. It's a pity that you ruined everything with your own hands. I don't need you to comment on my own matters. Shut up. Who do you think you are? Hui Yanyan was going crazy. I won't talk about it anymore. To me, you're already someone who has nothing to do with me. If you want to deal with me, come at me. I've never been afraid. As a pregnant woman, Hui Min's emotions weren't stable. Therefore, she kept arguing with Hui Yanyan on Weibo. Even though she was typing, her emotions were still fluctuating quite a bit. Hui Min was so angry that she logged out of Weibo and turned off her phone to sleep. She still had to start her vacation tomorrow. Hui Yanyan threw her phone into her bag and continued to drink, one glass after another. Finally, she lay on the table in a daze. Her head was splitting. I think she's Shin Mingxi's mistress. Someone recognized her. Yeah, I've seen her a few times. Young Master Shin always brought her around. But I heard they broke up recently. Really? Is it because of the case? Kim, I think so. But it's rare for a woman to have such a good figure after giving birth. The men discussed among themselves and finally they all left. Then a bold man who had been eavesdropping on their conversation walked over to strike up a conversation. Hey pretty lady, do you want a drink? Okay, let's have a drink. Fill my glass. Hui Yanyan held the glass in a daze. The man opened a bottle of wine and continued to pour him another full. In the end, Hui Yanyan was carried by the man and staggered out of the nightclub. Inside a hotel, the man carefully took off Hui Yanyan's clothes and took a picture of her. And then, by the time these photos were mailed to Shin Mingxi's office the next day, they were already extremely unsightly. Shin Mingxi's face was livid. At this moment his phone rang. Hello? Mr. Shin, have you seen those photos? Who are you? You don't have to know who I am. I just want to ask if those photos of me and your woman last night look good. If they're published in the newspapers, you'll be embarrassed, right? After all, it doesn't feel good to be cheated on. What do you want? Simple 5 million yuan. Transfer it to my account and I'll give you all the negatives. The man laughed evilly with a voice changer. Chapter 2858. In your dreams. I've already broken up with her. I don't care. You can do whatever you want, right? Then Shin Mingxi angrily hung up the phone, but after hanging up he couldn't bear to see her like this. Wang, come in for a second. President Shin. The male assistant knocked on the door and came in. Go and check the caller ID for me. Do a thorough check. Yes. In the hotel suite, Hui Yanyan woke up in a daze with a terrible headache. When she opened her eyes, she realized that she was in an unfamiliar environment and was startled. Then she looked down and realized that she was naked. You're awake? Who are you? Hui Yanyan immediately pulled up the blanket and covered herself. Then she angrily glared at the strange man. You forgot about me so quickly. You were very passionate last night. Bullshit. If you dare to do anything to me, I won't let you off the hook. Do you know who I am? Hui Yanyan panicked and used extreme anger to cover up the panic in her heart. Of course. I even sent the photos of our lovemaking to your sugar daddy. But your sugar daddy doesn't seem to care about you. I asked him to buy the photos for 5 million yuan, but he refused. What did you say? Hui Yanyan was completely dumbfounded. The man threw the photos in his hand at her. There were many unsightly images. You're quite impressive. You're divorced and have a kid, but you're still favored by Shin Mingxi. He's a sugar daddy. You must have made a lot of money these years. What do you think? If he doesn't want to buy the photos, you can sell them yourself. I'll give you a discount 2 million yuan. The man smiled. After a moment of silence, Hui Yanyan rushed over and tore the man's face apart, ignoring the fact that she was naked. Bastard, I'm going to kill you. Bitch, what are you doing? You didn't do it willingly last night. I'm going to sue you for rape, bastard. I don't even know you. How dare you do this to me and threaten me? However, no matter what the man said, Hui Yanyan refused to listen. She tore at the man's clothes like a madwoman. In the end, the man flew into a rage out of humiliation. He pushed Hui Yanyan to the ground and beat her up. I thought you were a hot little pepper, but I didn't expect you to be a mad dog. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have fucking touched you. I let you have enough fun last night and now you're turning your back on me. Bitch, I'll beat you to death. After the man kicked Hui Yanyan to the ground, he viciously kicked her body a few times. Not showing any mercy at all. If you want these photos, then hand over the money. Otherwise, I'll hand them over to the media and let the world know how you look. After saying that, the man spat on Hui Yanyan and walked away. Hui Yanyan squatted on the ground and sobbed. She really regretted drinking so much last night. Why did she go to such a place with all kinds of people? Now that something like this had happened, it was one disaster after another for Hui Yanyan. Her mother's body was still at the Municipal Public Security Bureau, and she was in trouble. She really wasn't in the mood to continue fighting. Not long after the blackmailing man left the hotel, his head was tied up and he was dragged into a van. President Shen, we've caught him. What should we do with him? The male assistant asked Shen Mingxi. Bring the photos back. Break his arms and legs. And throw them in the northern suburbs, Shen Mingxi ordered. Yes. Just then Shen Mingxi's phone rang again. It was Hui Yanyan's home phone. To be honest, he really didn't want to pick it up. The current Hui Yanyan only made him feel disgusted. However, the phone kept ringing, which was also annoying. Hui Yanyan, what do you want? Shen Mingxi asked bluntly. Chapter 2859. Uncle Shen, I'm Tianeng. Shen Mingxi's heart softened when he heard the child's tender voice. Uncle Shen, do you know where mommy is? Shen Mingxi then remembered that Hui Yanyan was with a strange man last night and had her picture taken. He was definitely not at home. I don't know. What's wrong? I called her but I couldn't get through. Her phone was turned off. I'm so hungry. I didn't eat anything this morning and no one took me to school. Are you home alone? Shen Mingxi asked worriedly. Yes. Where's Auntie? Shen Mingxi remembered that there used to be a nanny at home who took care of him and his daughter. Mommy chased Auntie away. Mommy's been in a bad mood lately. He always throws tantrums. I'm scared. Tian, wait at home. Don't run around. I'll pick you up. I'll be good. Come quickly, uncle. Shen Mingxi took the phone and called Hui Yanyan again. As expected, her phone was turned off. This woman is crazy. Doesn't she care about her own child? Shen Mingxi angrily rushed downstairs. At Hui Yanyan's house, Shen Mingxi saw Hui Yanyan's daughter, Tian. The little girl's hair was disheveled. She sat on the sofa and ate the remaining half of a bag of biscuits. She looked so pathetic that Shen Mingxi's heart ached for her. Uncle Shen. Seeing Shen Mingxi come in, Tian ran over. She hugged Shen Mingxi's leg. Why are you eating these? Shen Mingxi frowned slightly. I only have these at home. I'm hungry. Stop eating. Go. I'll take you out to eat good food. Okay. The little girl was overjoyed. Shen Mingxi drove Tian to the styling studio and asked someone to braid her hair. Then he took her to the mall and bought 2 sets of clothes. After she changed, Shen Mingxi asked her. What do you want to eat? Can we go to Pizza Hut? Uncle, I want to eat chicken wings. Sure. Shen Mingxi stopped the car in front of a Pizza Hut in the city center upon hearing the child's small request. She brought Tian in and ordered a table. Tian, your mother, hasn't she been coming home lately? Yes. The little girl nodded. Then how will you come back after school? I stayed at the kindergarten and waited for mommy to pick me up, but she always went very late. There was once when she didn't go the whole night. The teacher brought me to stay at her house. The little girl said as she gnawed on a chicken wing. Shen Mingxi's heart ached for her. She was such a young child, yet she had to follow Hui Yanyan from one place to another. This was a typical case of not living a good life. Uncle Shen, I want to go somewhere this weekend. Where would you like to go? I want to go play with Little Bean and Pudding. I haven't seen them in a long time. Also, Auntie Huimin is very nice to me. Every time I go to her house, she bakes us cakes and makes ice cream. Shen Mingxi fell silent. Given the current situation, Tian definitely could not go to South Hill Manor. He would definitely not be welcomed. The 2 sisters might not be free. I'll take you to the aquarium this weekend, okay? Shen Mingxi coaxed her. Hey. I like dolphin babies. The little girl was easy to coax. Hui Yanyan wandered outside. When she returned home, she found that the baby was gone. She called the kindergarten, but the baby was not there. She panicked. She was about to call the police when she remembered that she had checked the surveillance records of the neighborhood. When she saw that Shen Mingxi had taken her daughter away, she heaved a sigh of relief. Then Hui Yanyan dialed Shen Mingxi's number. Hello. Where have you taken my daughter? Her tone was interrogative, accusatory. Chapter 2860. I brought her to eat at Pizza Hut. Who asked you to be a good person? Why do you have to take care of my daughter? Who do you think you are? Hui Yanyan, I don't want to argue with you. I'm doing this for Tiantian. Tiantian is my daughter. Don't be a hypocrite. Send her back to me right now or I'll call the police. Hui Yanyan sounded determined. Okay, I'll send her back right away. Shin Mingxi didn't want to argue with her. He hung up the phone and looked at Tiantian, who was enjoying her food. Tiantian, are you full? Not yet. Then let's take some home, okay? Mommy's home and wants to see you, Shin Mingxi coaxed Tiantian. Okay. The child was well behaved. She didn't cry or throw a tantrum and followed Shin Mingxi into the car. At the entrance of Hui Yanyan's house, Mommy, Uncle Shin brought me to eat good food. Who told you to eat? From now on, you're not allowed to eat anything from this man. He has nothing to do with us anymore. Then Hui Yanyan reached out and knocked over the bag of chips and chicken wings in the child's hands. Ooh, Tiantian's chicken wings are gone. The child cried sadly. Hui Yanyan, what are you doing? How can you treat your own daughter like this? Don't you have a conscience? Shin Mingxi was furious. I don't have a conscience? I wonder who's the one who's trying to draw a line with me because she's afraid of offending people. Hui Yanyan mocked. I told you I didn't. If your mother is innocent, I'll help her until the end. It's not because I don't want to offend people. Can you please find out the truth? The truth? The truth is, Shin Mingxi, you ungrateful bastard. I, Hui Yanyan, was blind to sleep with you and let you play with me for so long. In the end, when I was in trouble, you ran away faster than anyone else. This is the man I love, huh? Forget it, I'm too lazy to talk to you anymore. Since the child has been sent home, then I've completed my mission. You're on your own now. With that, Shin Mingxi turned to leave. He had only taken 2 steps when he suddenly thought of something and threw the paper bag in his hand on the ground. I got those photos back for you and I taught that person a lesson for you. But I want to warn you that you're a mother now. If you're despised by others, Tian won't be able to survive in kindergarten. She'll be pointed at and criticized for the rest of her life. I don't want that to happen to her. This is the last time I'm helping you and I'm doing it for the sake of our child. In the future, I hope you'll think twice before you do anything. As a woman and a mother, you have to behave yourself. Then Shin Mingxi strode out of Hui Yanyan's place. Hui Yanyan squatted on the ground and opened the craft paper bag with trembling fingers. When she saw the unbearable images, she felt endless sorrow in her heart. Seemed like there was no turning back. Things would only get worse and worse. Mommy, Tiantian likes Uncle Shin a lot. Today Tiantian was scared to be alone at home. I called Mommy but I couldn't get through, so I called Uncle Shin. Uncle Shin drove over to pick me up, bought me new clothes, took me to braid my hair, and even took me to eat delicious chicken wings, the child said word by word. However, every word was like a knife cutting into her heart. Why did Hui Yanyan say such vicious things to Shin Mingxi? Because this time he didn't do anything, and that was only one of the reasons. Most importantly, she knew that no matter what, there was no turning back between them. There was no turning back. On the way back, Shin Mingxi felt a slight pain in his heart. Every time he saw Hui Yanyan, the beautiful memories of the past would surface in his heart. Suddenly, a big truck honked across the road, but it was too late for him to brake. Chapter 2861. 20 minutes later, Su Yu's WeChat moments exploded with messages. Urgent news. Young Master Shin got into a car accident at the intersection of Sanjiang Road and is being treated in the first hospital's emergency room. Rh-negative panda blood is urgently needed to save his life. Thank you so much for your help, please forward the message. The Shin family is asking for panda blood at a high price. Tang Chuan was at Su Yu's mansion, competing with him in a swimming competition. The two of them were wearing dark blue trunks. Their muscles were on full display. After getting out of the water, the two of them rested on the chairs and drank iced beer. They were relaxed and carefree. Tang Chuan was addicted to his phone, so whenever he had time he would read the news and check his WeChat moments. Fuck. Something happened. What happened? What's the big deal? Su Yu was exhausted from swimming, so he closed his eyes and didn't want to talk. Shin Mingxi got into a car accident. What did you say? Su Yu opened his eyes and sat up from the chair. It's true, Wei and the others are reposting it. It can't be fake. Wait a second, I'll ask them. Then Tang Chuan immediately dialed a friend's number and verified it. After asking a few questions, Tang Chuan hung up, his expression grim. It's true, something happened. Where is he? He's being treated at the first hospital. It said that he got into a car accident at the intersection of Sanjiang Road. It's pretty serious and we don't know if he's still alive. But the worst thing is that Rh-negative panda blood is urgently needed. This blood type is crazy and there aren't many of them in the country. What should we do? The first hospital is running out of stock. If they can't supply it, his life might be in danger. I'll forward it. Tang Chuan immediately copied the message and reposted it on his WeChat moments. Su Yu immediately took out his phone and called Huamin. Mian. What do you need, President Su? Huamin was watching cartoons with the twins at home and didn't notice the news. Let me ask you, does Southside have panda blood? Rh-negative blood. Huamin was stunned. Yes, it's UHK negative. Su Yu was also dumbfounded. It's Rh-negative, right? Huamin corrected. Yes. It's that Rh-negative. Do you have it in the Southern District? What do you want to do? Huamin asked curiously while eating the orange. Shin Mingxi just got into a car accident and is being treated at the first hospital. This blood type is urgently needed. What? Shin Mingxi was in a car accident? Huamin asked in surprise. Yes. Oh no, there's no more at Southside. We used to have some in stock, but the day before yesterday there was a young girl who had a congenital heart transplant and the surgery used it all up. Most hospitals don't have this type of blood in stock. No hospital in the country dares to stock up. So we can only rely on everyone to donate. Hurry up and contact the media and ask everyone to donate. All right, I got it. After hanging up the phone, Su Yu immediately walked into the villa. Where are you going, Lord Su? I'm going to the hospital to see him. But we don't have panda blood. We won't be able to do anything even if we go. Tang Chuan frowned. So we have to go. It's better than staying here. Then Su Yu drove Tang Chuan to the first hospital in his black Lamborghini. Outside the emergency room, other than the Shin family, there were also some of Shin Mingxi's friends. The small corridor was filled with dozens of people. Mr. Su is here. Someone in the crowd shouted and everyone turned to look at Su Yu. President Su, do you have panda blood? The Shin family thought Su Yu was here to donate blood and rushed over to grab Su Yu's arm. Chapter 2862. I'm not. Su Yu raised his hand and rubbed the tip of his nose awkwardly. Hearing Su Yu's denial, the Shin family was once again disappointed. What should I do? Someone save my son. Shin Mingxi's mother cried so hard that she almost fainted. She was supported by two young women. Just then Su Yu received a WeChat message. It was from Huamin. Huamin, Lord Su, where are you? Su Yu, the first hospital. Huamin, how's young Master Shin? Su Yu, he's still in the emergency room but it doesn't look good. He seems to be in urgent need of Rh-negative blood. Huamin, it happened so suddenly. I almost forgot that my brother Enrich has Rh-negative blood. Su Yu, what? Enrich? That's great. Huamin, yes. So, I wanted to ask you if anyone donated blood. If not, I can contact Enrich. Su Yu, then hurry up. The Shin family is worried sick that no one is coming. Huamin, okay. I'll contact you later. Su Yu, okay. 3 minutes later Huamin sent another WeChat message. Huamin, bad news. Enrich isn't here. Jia said he went to Seoul with a few friends. He'll be back in 5 hours at the earliest. Su Yu, 5 hours? He won't make it. Huamin, then what should we do? I'm in a hurry. You see, Su Yu, don't worry. They'll be away. It's a big city and there's a reward of 1 million yuan. Don't worry. Huamin, okay. Let me know if you have any news. Su Yu, okay. After sending the WeChat message, Su Yu looked up and saw some noise in the crowd. Someone shouted, Wei Ying is here. Su Yu looked over and saw Wei Ying walking over in white sportswear and a black baseball cap. Since it was already late, Wei Ying must have been in a hurry to put on her makeup, so she didn't have any makeup on. But the strange thing was that she looked much better without makeup than with makeup. It was Su Yu's first time seeing Wei Ying with such a clear face. Uncle Andy, how is Mingxi? Wei Ying asked. Not good. Mrs. Shin covered her face and cried. At this moment, Wei Ying looked up and saw Su Yu looking at her. Wei Ying nodded slightly and greeted Su Yu. Brother Su Yu. And did you come from home? Where's your brother? Su Yu asked. I didn't come from home. I went to the hot springs in Jing County with my friends. When I saw the news on my WeChat moments, I immediately drove back. Thank you for coming back to see Mingxi at this time. The Shin family is sorry, Mrs. Shin said. It was known that Shin Mingxi had insisted on divorcing Wei Ying because Hui Yanyan was the third party. So although Wei Ying had a bad temper, she didn't do anything outrageous. Because of this, the Shin family and the Wei family were still at odds. Shin Mingxi's parents had always felt sorry for Wei Ying. After all, their son had ruined the reputation of a girl from a prestigious family. Auntie, it's not the time to talk about this. Take me to the doctor. I want to donate blood. Donate blood. Mrs. Shin was surprised. Auntie, I have Rh-negative blood just like Mingxi. Wei Ying smiled slightly. Hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Chapter 2863. Ying. You. Mrs. Shin was too shocked to speak. Wei Ying and Shin Mingxi had been dating for a long time and then got married, but no one knew that Wei Ying also had Rh-negative blood. Even Suyu was stunned. Fuck. Are you serious? I never heard that old Wei has Rh-negative blood. Tang Chuan was also dumbfounded. Wei Ying and Wei Liao were biological siblings, but Wei Liao didn't have Rh-negative blood. Who said that the whole family must have Rh-negative blood? You don't know shit. Suyu looked at Tang Chuan in disdain. You're wrong. It's not that I don't know anything. What do I know? Tang Chuan chuckled. Wei Ying's timely arrival solved the emergency and everyone let out a sigh of relief. Who's here to donate blood? Come with me. Doctor, how much blood do you need? I brought a friend with me. Wei Ying pulled on a fashionably dressed beauty behind her. It depends on the details. All of you come in first. Okay. Wei Ying and her friend changed into their clothes and went in to draw blood. The group of people finally calmed down. Shit. I didn't expect the plot twist. Wei Ying is here to donate blood. I thought she'd never see Shin Mingxi again, Tang Chuan gossiped in a low voice. Wei Ying has a bad temper and a bad mouth, but she really loves young Master Shin. Otherwise she wouldn't have done everything for him all these years. Although they're divorced now, a day together as husband and wife means endless devotion to each other. Even a woman wouldn't be so heartless. Of course Hui Yanyan is an exception, Suyu said. Fuck, speaking of Hui Yanyan, I'm so angry. Young Master Shin's car accident is most likely related to her. I heard that young Master Shin left her house and got into a car accident on his way home. I'm sure that bitch said something to young Master Shin that triggered him. Otherwise, how could something like this happen when he's driving so steadily and not drunk? If something really happens to young Master Shin, I think that slut Hui Yanyan should also be arrested and beaten up. Hui Yanyan is indeed. Forget it, I'm not going to comment. I'm too lazy to talk about it. Suyu leaned against the wall of the corridor. He took out his phone and sent a WeChat message to Huamin to report the situation. Suyu, calling Dr. Hua. Huamin, yes. Suyu, young Master Shin can be saved. Someone is here to donate blood. Guess who it is? Huamin, give me a hint. The range is too wide and I can't guess. Suyu, it's someone you can't even dream of. It's the least likely person to be her. Huamin was silent for 3 seconds. Then he replied to Suyu with 2 words. Wei Ying? Suyu, fuck. Did you really guess or did Tang Chuan tell you? Huamin, I swear no one told me. Suyu, then how did you guess so accurately? Huamin, because you said it was the least likely person. Suyu, I thought you would say Hui Yanyan. She's also the least likely person. Suyu was puzzled. Huamin, I know Hui Yanyan's blood type. It's not Rh negative. Suyu, I see. Smart Dr. Hua. I admit defeat. Huamin, it's really Wei Ying? Anyway, it's good to be able to save him. Suyu, yeah. We're all relieved. If anything happened to the kid, we'd be sad too. After all, we grew up together. This time, Suyu and Shin Mingxi were much closer after they made up. They weren't as distant as before. In the emergency room, after donating 200 cubic centimeters of blood, Wei Ying felt dizzy and lay weakly on the bed. Her friend had also donated 200 cubic centimeters of blood. Since they were both thin and weak girls, 200 cubic centimeters of blood was a lot. No, Dr. Wang. 400 isn't enough. We need 200 cubic centimeters more, another doctor reminded him hurriedly. Chapter 2864. More? Oh, it's not enough. There are only 2 girls and they're both very light and slightly anemic. I can only draw 200 cubic centimeters at most. Then what should we do? The doctors were also anxious for a moment. Hearing their words, Wei Ying struggled to get up. Then she said in a weak voice, "Doctor, draw my blood. I can still..." "No. You're at your limit. With your current condition you can only draw 200 cubic centimeters. More than that will put a heavy burden on you. Your body won't be able to take it." "It's okay. I can do it. I'm thin but I'm strong." Wei Ying squeezed out a smile. "No. Let's think of another way," the doctor denied. "Doctor, it's more important to save people. I beg you. This is my ex-husband. Although we're divorced, he's still the man I love the most. If anything happens to him, I don't want to live anymore. So please draw my blood." Wei Ying said with tears in her eyes. She wasn't pretending. She was speaking from the bottom of her heart. Shin Mingxi was unconscious and couldn't hear her. The Shin family was outside the door and didn't know. The fact that Wei Ying said these words at this critical moment showed how deep her love for Shin Mingxi was. But the doctors seemed to be in a difficult position. They were afraid of taking responsibility. "No buts. I'll take responsibility for the consequences. I can sign a guarantee, okay?" Wei Ying begged again. Then we'll draw more. But if you don't feel well, you must tell us immediately and we'll stop, okay?" The doctor trembled. "Hey, no problem." Seeing the doctor agree, Wei Ying stood up unsteadily and walked over to draw her blood. The needle pierced through Wei Ying's blurry blood vessels again. She only felt a slight sting like a mosquito bite. But with the loss of blood in her body, she was very tired. Wei Ying felt dizzy and had motion sickness. She wanted to throw up but couldn't. She felt sleepy and wanted to sleep, but she didn't make a sound. Finally, she forced herself to let the doctor draw 200 cubic centimeters of her blood. "You're so brave. Your husband, no, your ex-husband will be touched when he wakes up." The doctor praised Wei Ying. "There's no need for that. I just want him to be safe and sound just like before. There's no need to be touched." Wei Ying carefully rolled up her sleeves. As soon as she stood up, she blacked out and fell to the ground. This lady?" Frightened, the doctors hurriedly helped Wei Ying onto the bed. Then he took his blood pressure and did a checkup. "He's all right. He's just bleeding too much. He needs more sleep and rest to replenish his blood." The doctor said, "Push him out and let the family members outside take care of him. We'll continue with the surgery." "All right." When the 2 nurses wheeled Wei Ying out, the people outside the door swarmed toward her. Humans were selfish after all. The Shin family came over and asked, "How's my son?" "The patient's life is no longer in danger," the doctor said. The Shins breathed a sigh of relief. "You must thank this lady. With her frail body, donating 200 yuan was already her limit. But just now, knowing that we were short of blood, she forced herself to donate another 20 yuan. She exceeded her limit and fainted. She sacrificed the most, so please take good care of her." After the doctor finished speaking, everyone fell silent. Chapter 2865. No one would have thought that Wei Ying, the arrogant young lady of the Wei family, would risk her life like this. How much did she love Shin Mingxi that she was willing to suffer so much to save him? "Damn. Wei Ying is a hero," Tang Chuan said. "Wei Ying would be furious if he knew. You know, Wei Ying thinks his sister shouldn't be so cheap as to fall in love with young Master Shin," Suyu said. "Love is a magical thing. You can't say it's cheap, right? Take me and Qin Ning for example. If I didn't take the initiative, I wouldn't have won her heart. Love is a game of one pretending to be reserved and the other shameless. But if one day the shameless one leaves first, the one pretending to be reserved will die of sadness. This is the true meaning of love. It's a double-edged sword. It hurts the enemy 1,000 times but hurts the self 800 times. Suyu, forget it. I shouldn't discuss such a profound philosophical question with a single man like you who doesn't even have a girlfriend." "Fuck off," Suyu scolded. Mrs. Shin followed the nurse and walked Wei Ying to the ward next door. "Nurse, when will she wake up?" Mrs. Shin asked. "It's hard to say. The girl donated too much blood and might sleep for a whole night. Your son is lucky. He survived a great disaster." Then the nurse walked out of the ward with a smile. Mrs. Shin had mixed feelings. When the Shin family and the Wei family got married, many people thought it was just a business marriage. The Shin family thought so as well, since the Wei family was more famous and wealthy than the Shin family. Therefore, the marriage with the Wei family had many benefits. But they didn't expect Wei Ying to fall in love with Shin Mingxi. Maybe it was because she loved him too much and was too afraid of losing him that Wei Ying had been so insecure. She had been pushing Shin Mingxi too hard and didn't give him any personal space. Plus, Hui Yanyan used some dirty tricks to destroy the marriage. Shin Mingxi hated Wei Ying so much that he didn't even want to look at her. It had taken a long time for Wei Ying to disappear from the scene after the initial fight. Because of this, the Wei family broke off all business relations with the Shin family. Wei Liao and Shin Mingxi were like fire and water. Basically, they didn't even have the chance to meet. But to Mrs. Shin's surprise, Wei Ying came back when they needed her the most. When he was outside, he heard from the girl who came back with Wei Ying. They had been enjoying a hot spring in Jing County, but when Wei Ying heard the news, she immediately put on her clothes and rushed back. Together with her, who also had Rh-negative blood, the two of them ran at 120 miles per hour on the highway. When they entered the city, they also ran all the red lights. He sped all the way to the hospital. In the girl's words, Wei Ying was crazy. Suyu felt that he should let Wei Liao know about this, so he called Wei Liao and briefly told him about it. In less than 20 minutes, Wei Liao and Jiang Shaowei arrived. President Wei, young Master Wei, many people took the initiative to greet Wei Liao, brother Wei, sister-in-law. Young Master Wei, you're here too? Tang Chuan waved at him from a distance. Wei Liao walked up to Suyu. Lord Su, where's Wei Ying? Wei Liao's face was cold. In that ward. She's unconscious, Suyu added. Without a word, Wei Liao walked toward the ward. Wei Liao, you're here? Mrs. Shin looked embarrassed. I'm here to take my sister away. Wei Liao didn't treat Mrs. Shin nicely. She's unconscious and can't leave now. She needs to rest. So you think she's an artificial blood bag? How many more times do you want to use my stupid sister before you're satisfied? You're the most cunning people in the world. We're all stupid, right? Wei Liao questioned Mrs. Shin. Chapter 2866. Wei Liao, I understand how you feel. I'm really grateful that Ying came back and saved Mingxi's life, Mrs. Shin said politely. A scumbag like Shin Mingxi shouldn't have been saved. I didn't know. If I had known, I wouldn't have asked my sister to come. The Wei family has never owed you anything. My old man said he doesn't want to have anything to do with the Wei family as long as he lives. That's it. With a livid face, Wei Liao picked up Wei Ying from the bed. Slightly pull out the 4 drip. Wei Liao turned his head and looked at his wife. Honey, let's wait until Ying wakes up. Jiang Shaowei tried to persuade him. Can she walk when she wakes up? Are you sure she won't die from the blood transfusion? Wei Liao asked coldly. Jiang Shaowei had been married to Wei Liao for years, and Wei Yunchu was already a few years old. They had always been close to each other, although their love for each other wasn't as earth-shattering as that between Qin Chu and Huamin. But in the past few years, Wei Liao had been very good to Jiang Shaowei. She had always been the one who called the shots in the family. It was the first time he had dissed his wife in public. But Jiang Shaowei knew it wasn't Wei Liao's fault this time. The war between the Shin family and the Wei family had shocked many media outlets. It was still fresh in people's minds. Wei Liao had always been a low-key person, but he had been pushed to the center of attention. Therefore, the breakup of Wei Ying and Shin Mingxi's marriage hurt not only Wei Ying but also all the members of the Wei family. During that time, the Wei family's stock price had plummeted. Now that she thought about it, it was a dark past. Let's go. Jiang Shaowei didn't insist. She gently removed the 4 from the unconscious Wei Ying and quietly followed behind Wei Liao. Wei Liao held Wei Ying in his arms, his face livid. On the way out, he stopped for a moment when he passed by Suyu and Tang Chuan. Suyu rubbed his nose, not knowing what to do. I'll leave first. I'll contact you later. Wei Liao said. All right. Suyu nodded. They had been buddies for so many years, so they had a tacit understanding of each other. 10 minutes after Wei Liao left, Suyu and Tang Chuan also left after seeing that Shin Mingxi was out of danger. The relatives and friends who came to visit also left one after another. Only the direct descendants of the Shin family were left in the hospital. Madam, you should go back first. You're old and your blood pressure is high. It'll be dangerous if you don't sleep well. Young master has us here. The maids took turns to persuade Madam Shin. No. I want to see him wake up with my own eyes. Madam Shen held her son's hand tightly and looked at him without blinking. Old Mr. Shen was supported by his assistant. Seeing that his son was fine, he left in the middle of the night. When Suyu got home, Little Bean sent him a video call on WeChat. "Hello, Little Bean. What's up?" Suyu chuckled. "Can't I call you for nothing?" "Of course you can. What's up?" "You don't sound right. Did your sister beat you up?" Suyu asked with a chuckle. Am I that low? Look at my weight." "She can't beat me," Little Bean bragged. "What are you doing?" Suyu asked. "My mommy asked me to send it to you. Maybe she misses you." Little Bean began to talk nonsense. "Get out of here. Don't talk nonsense." Suyu blushed. At this moment, Huamin took over the video call. She was wearing a very simple half-sleeve dress. It was very conservative and had English letters on it. It gave people the feeling of a breeze. "You're home? How's the situation at the hospital? I heard from Xiaowei that Mr. Wei was very angry." Huamin asked softly. Chapter 2867. Don't mention it. I've known young Master Wei for many years, but it's the first time I've seen him so angry. When we were kids, I accidentally kicked him in the crotch, but he was never like this. I was scared to death. Ziyu said exaggeratedly. Huamin was exasperated. "Can we have a nice chat, Lord Su?" "Of course. So what's the situation now?" Wei Ying transfused 400 drops of blood to turn the tide. "I didn't know that the wild girl would risk her life for a man." "Wei Ying? That skinny girl donated 400 blood?" Huamin was surprised. In Huamin's impression of Wei Ying was that she was quite thin. Like celebrities, these socialites ate diet meals every day to maintain their figures. Do you think she really ate the food pictures she posted on her WeChat moments? That would be a big mistake. She just wanted to look good in the pictures. So, with Wei Ying's figure, donating 400 blood was quite scary. This was because a normal man would feel dizzy after donating 400 grams of blood. Some people said that after donating blood, the blood could be remade. It wasn't like there was no blood left. But platelets needed time to produce blood and couldn't be restored to full blood instantly. Did you think this was a game? So Huamin was quite surprised. Yeah. The doctor kept saying that the girl had a hard time. Wei Ying is unconscious and is on a nutrient drip in the ward next door. I don't know where young Master Wei heard the news and came in a fury. He scolded Mrs. Shen and left with the unconscious Wei Ying in his arms. I can imagine this scene. It's indeed scary. Young Master Wei is such a refined man. When he gets angry, he's quite scary, right? Huamin said. That's quite scary. I'm shaking with fear. Don't talk nonsense. Huamin scolded with a smile. Have you had dinner? Tiu asked. Look at the time. Bro, what did you have for dinner? Huamin couldn't help but laugh. Aren't you pregnant? Don't pregnant women have good appetites? I don't think it's a problem for you to eat 2 pots a day, right? Do you think I'm a pig that eats animal feed? 2 basins per meal? I'm only in the early stages of pregnancy. Sometimes I'll vomit when I smell something pungent. How can I eat it? How miraculous. Another little life is about to be born. So you thought about Huamin becoming a mother again. It was quite emotional. The difference between the Huamin now and the Huamin 4 years ago was like heaven and earth. 4 years ago, Huamin lost Qin Chu and her life was worse than death. She even suffered from prenatal depression and wanted to commit suicide. Every day he had a lot on his mind. Now Huamin had a daughter, a husband, and a family. She was so happy that Suyu was happy for her. Even though, there was still a sense of loss in the depths of his heart. Dr. Hua, this time what gift should I give you when you give birth to heir Bao? Lord Su is so generous. You can give me Imperial Star as a gift. When he grows up he can hook up with any female celebrity. Huh. You make it sound like you'll definitely give birth to a son. Suyu also laughed. Are you giving it to me or not? Yes. If you give birth to a son I'll give it to you. It's just a company, no big deal, Lord Su boasted. Hey handsome Su, we heard that. We'll remember it for mommy and little brother. Don't go back on your word when the time comes, okay? Little Bean poked her little head out from behind Huamin and stuck her tongue out at Suyu. You girls were sent by the Jade Emperor to bankrupt me, right? So you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At this moment the door opened. Honey, come here. Let me show you something, Qin Chu said to Huamin. Chapter 2868. Oh okay. After answering, Huamin turned to look at Suyu. I'll hang up now. What does your husband want to show you? I'm curious. Tiu asked. Curiosity killed the cat. Huamin replied in a melodramatic manner. Talking to you is exhausting. Sleep early, pregnant Dr. Hua. Bye. After hanging up, Huamin stood up and walked out. Mommy, if Daddy sees you and handsome Sue flirting with each other, he'll spank you, Little Bean said in all seriousness. It's okay. I'll tell your daddy that you helped me send this video to Suyu. Huamin smiled. Mommy, you're so unethical. How could you betray me? Little Bean rolled her eyes. Why would a person like you need to be betrayed? You could have just sold yourself. You're the most valuable person in the family. Pudding interrupted. Qin Zhaozhao, you're insulting me again. Little Bean glared at her sister in dissatisfaction. So, you're going to talk to your Gao Buyuan again? Pudding was jealous. Oh. This time I'm changing my strategy. I'm going to talk to your Wei Yunchu and let him see the true colors of your evil sister. I don't want him to be charmed by you. Then Little Bean turned around and ran downstairs. Pudding was left alone in front of the second-floor bedroom door, confused. Inside the master bedroom, honey, what are you showing me? Huamin walked over and hugged Qin Chu's neck coquettishly. Look at this. Qin Chu took out a black card with golden edges. Huamin opened it curiously and saw 2 words written on it. Invitation. She looked down and saw the wedding photos of Hua Xiqian and Yan Ruoxi. Hua Xiqian still had that kind of faint smile on his face which made people who looked at him panic. Yan Ruoxi, on the other hand, did not have her usual blissful smile. She held onto Hua Xiqian's arm and her movements seemed a little stiff. The smile on his face was also strange. It was a fake smile. Then there was a small line of words below. The 2 of us have been in love for so many years, and we finally plan to end our long-distance love and enter the fairy tale castle of marriage together. We will live hand in hand and grow old together, sailing together through thick and thin. And this happy moment required the blessings and witness of all his friends and family. The wedding ceremony of Mr. Hua Xiqian and Miss Huamin will be held tomorrow at the Peony Hall of the Billy Lake 7-Star Hotel. Mr. Qin Chu and Ms. Huamin will be present as witnesses. Holding the invitation, Huamin sneered, what kind of show is this? Marriage, of course. Isn't he getting married again? Qin Chu put his hands behind his back and hugged Huamin's waist. He's getting married for the 2nd time, but he's still so high profile. What a joke. Everyone says that Lord Su is a show-off, but I think he's nothing compared to Hua Xiqian, Huamin commented. No, I think he did it on purpose this time. There must be a conspiracy behind the wedding. Even if Zhang Manlin didn't say it, Qin Chu knew that if Hua Xiqian wanted to marry Zhang Manlin, he would have done it 3 years ago. He wouldn't have waited until today. So this wedding was just a smokescreen. But he's shameless enough to do this. The whole world knows that we're like fire and water and we can't stand on the same side. How could he have the nerve to send an invitation? Seriously. Huamin sighed. He doesn't care if we attend or not. He just wants to show off. Qin Chu said. Honey, what should we do? Do we really have to go? Huamin frowned. He felt like a big battle was right in front of him. Could happen at any moment. Chapter 2869. Of course. Why wouldn't I go? I'm going to the Hongmen banquet. Qin Chu turned around and stood up. Then he gently kissed Huamin's forehead with love and tenderness. I thought you wouldn't let me go. You're afraid I'll be in danger. Saying this, Huamin pressed herself against Qin Chu's warm chest. She looked like a little woman who was acting coquettishly. I won't. With you like this, I won't let you leave my side. Qin Chu put his hand on the back of Huamin's head and said softly. So my trip with the kids is delayed? Huamin pursed her lips. Yeah. After we get rid of Hua Xiqian, I'll take you wherever you want to go. Qin Chu coaxed her. I want to go to the Milky Way, Huamin said deliberately. But we have to buy a spaceship first. Then the couple looked at each other and smiled. In the Wei family's mansion, 2 private doctors gave Wei Ying 4 drip and an injection. An hour later she finally woke up. Am I at home? Wei Ying opened her eyes groggily and looked around. Then she said weakly. How dare you say that? You're a disgrace to the Wei family. The old master of the Wei family doted on Wei Ying the most. Now he felt humiliated and furious. Dad. Wei Ying lowered her head guiltily. Don't call me Dad. I don't have such a disappointing daughter. Ying, what happened? You've been divorced for so long. What's wrong with you? What drug did Shen Mingxi give you? You're willing to sacrifice your life to save him? Mrs. Wei asked. Before Wei Ying could speak, Wei Liao interjected. She thinks she's Lei Feng. Big brother. No. Wei Ying hurried to explain. You're still denying it? You're pissing me off. Wei Liao scolded. Sila. Help me. Wei Ying begged Jiang Shaowei for help. Jiang Shaowei lowered her head, not daring to say a word. In order not to offend either side, she chose to remain neutral. Don't make things difficult for your sister-in-law. Everyone came back today to impeach you. Wei Liao scolded. I'm so dizzy. Dad, I'm so tired. I want sleep. Can we talk about it tomorrow? Wei Ying whined. Dizziness doesn't matter. The private doctor hasn't left yet. He can continue to give you acupuncture. Wei Liao said. Yuan, am I really your little sister? Wei Ying was furious. Good question. Tomorrow I'll get a DNA test to see if you're really my sister. How can you be such a coward? How can you have no bottom line? You were dumped, but you still ran back to donate blood. Who do you think you are? Wei Ying, Shen Mingxi's death has nothing to do with you. Wei Liao finally couldn't stand it anymore and flew into a rage. Big brother. You know I've liked him for many years. I can't just watch him die like that. Wei Ying was rarely so gentle. She was used to being a tyrant. There was a rumor in the circle that Wei Ying was the female version of Suyu. She had a fiery temper. She was a typical spoiled rich girl and was very pretentious. Well said. Why don't you think about why Shen Mingxi didn't divorce you for the sake of our friendship and got together with Hui Yanyan in a high-profile manner? Don't you know how long our families have been fighting because of you? I thought that you would slowly get better after this matter was over. But look at you. Look at how busy you are when there's a slight disturbance. Why don't you think about your own status? Who do you think you are? Now that Shen Mingxi is in trouble, why didn't his beloved woman come to visit him and donate blood? What does it have to do with you? Wei Liao demanded. Hui Yanyan doesn't have Rh-negative blood. I have the same blood type as him, Wei Ying argued in a low voice. Chapter 2870. That's easy for you to say. Good, very good. I think 400 grams of blood is too little. You should donate 5 kilograms. Wei Liao scolded Wei Ying in a fit of pique. Wei Ying, big brother, don't be angry. I know they did it for my own good. Oh, your big brother Mingxi is better than the whole world. Wei Liao continued in a fit of pique. Big brother, I saved his life and can't ask him for his blood back. I'll listen to you. I'll just help him and won't go to him again, okay? Wei Ying knew what she did this time disgraced her family, so she didn't dare to be as arrogant as usual. Her tone turned gentle. Don't. Keep pestering him. I heard Shen Mingxi broke up with Hui Yanyan. Maybe if you help him he'll be touched and come back to you. It'll be a great favor to you. Big brother, don't make me angry. Your words hurt my heart, Wei Ying said in a low voice. Hurt your heart? When Shen Mingxi did that to you, you didn't hurt him so much. Wei Liao didn't let it go and continued with his vicious words. Finally, Jiang Shaowei couldn't stand it anymore. Holding her husband's hand, she said, Hui Ying lost a lot of blood and needs to rest. She's regretful, so let's not talk about it. Let her rest. We'll talk about it when she's well rested. Yeah. You two should go back. It's not convenient for Yunchu to be alone at home with the nanny. Go back and check on the kids, Mrs. Wei urged. Hey, we'll go now. Wei Liao looked displeased. Big brother, bye. Sister-in-law, bye. Seeing Jiang Shaowei pull Wei Liao away, Wei Ying heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Jiang Shaowei with gratitude. Midnight in the hospital, Shen Mingxi's life was out of danger. A few hours after the blood transfusion, he recovered well and woke up in the middle of the night. Mom. He turned his head and saw that it was his mother who had fallen asleep while leaning against the table. Son, you're awake? Mrs. Shen was very happy to see her son awake. What happened to me? Shen Mingxi's body was weak. Don't say anything. Mom will call the doctor. After saying that, Mrs. Shen got up and pressed the emergency call button. Doctor, my son is awake. Come and take a look and examine him. Mrs. Shen was so happy that she cried. Not long after, the doctors and nurses rushed over. After performing a series of examinations on Shen Mingxi, The doctor smiled and said, "Young Master Shen is recovering well. Don't worry, Mrs. Shen." That's good, that's good. Next, stay in the hospital for observation for a while. If there are no major problems, you can go home to recuperate. Because there are no hard injuries on your body, you just need to make sure that there are no blood clots or sequelae in your brain. Hey, thank you, doctor. You're welcome. Contact us if you need anything. Xiao Feng, change the infusion for young Master Shen and continue to reduce the inflammation and swelling, the doctor instructed. Yes. The young nurse quickly changed the infusion for Shin Mingxi and left, closing the door behind her. "Son, you were in a car accident. Do you know that?" Mrs. Shen took Shin Mingxi's hand and said with concern. "Car accident?" Shin Mingxi tried to recall what had happened. Suddenly, he remembered that after leaving Hu Yanyan's house, he had been depressed and distracted because he had been thinking about them. Then, a car drove toward him and he didn't have time to dodge. "Mom, what happened to the driver?" Shin Mingxi asked with difficulty. Chapter 2871. The driver on the other side is fine. He only had some minor injuries. You're the worst. You almost. Mrs. Shin burst into tears again. She took out a handkerchief from her bag and wiped her tears. Don't cry. I'm fine now, right? Do you know how dangerous it was? When you were young, I told you not to get hurt and to be careful when crossing the road. When you grew up, I told you to be careful when driving because your blood type is special. It's very troublesome. Do you know that you transfused 600 cubic centimeters of blood? Wow, 600. That's a lot. It looks really serious. Shin Mingxi smiled. You're still smiling? Something happened to you. How could your father and I live? Mrs. Shin was still scared even though she knew that her son was fine. Although she knew that her son was fine, her legs turned to jelly when she first heard the news. She was scared witless. I know. I'm sorry, Mom. I made you and Dad worry. Ever since he broke up with Hui Yanyan, Shin Mingxi moved back to his mansion and his relationship with his parents improved a lot. In fact, Shin Mingxi had always been close to his family. If it weren't for Hui Yanyan, he would have been a good son. This son of the Shin family had always been an obedient and well-behaved boy since he was young. Who would have thought that he would cause so much trouble because of Hui Yanyan? However, even if his parents were angry, they wouldn't really hate their son. After all, he was their biological son. Therefore, his parents quickly forgave him and planned to let him continue working at the headquarters of the corporation. They didn't expect this to happen in just a few days. Mom, how long have I been unconscious? Shin Mingxi asked. A few hours. It's been more than 10 hours since your accident and the surgery. Luckily, it's not a few days and nights. Shin Mingxi smiled. You're still smiling. You almost scared us to death. Mom, did anyone come to see me? Shin Mingxi asked softly. Yes. Who came? Shin Mingxi quickly asked. Su Yu, Tang Chuan, Sun Jiechi, Jiang Daxin and your buddies were all here. There were dozens of people in the corridor. Lord Su and the others are here too? Shin Mingxi was a little surprised. Su Yu is very attentive. He has been calling your relatives. It seems that he has a good relationship with the Vice Dean of Southside. Yes, they are very good friends. Shin Mingxi knew who his mother was talking about. It must be Huamin. Yes, but it's a pity that there aren't any in the South District. That's why I'm so worried. Our family has already offered a huge reward, hoping that some citizens would volunteer to donate blood. However, your situation was urgent at that time and it was the latter half of the night. Many people couldn't make it in time, Mrs. Shin said word by word. Then how did you do it? Shin Mingxi asked. You probably can't even imagine who donated blood for you, Mrs. Shin said as she looked at her son with a complicated expression. Who is it? Little Ing is here. Wing? Shin Mingxi was surprised. Yes, she was afraid it wasn't enough, so she brought back a friend who also has Rh-negative blood. They were in a hot spring in another county. When she heard about what happened to you, little Ing raced all the way here, risking her life. The most important thing is, the two girls donated 200 yuan each, but it wasn't enough. The situation was urgent, so little Ing persuaded the doctor to donate 200 yuan more. After the donation, she fell into a coma, Mrs. Shin said guiltily. Shin Mingxi was even more silent after hearing her words. Son, we've let the Wei family down and we've let Ing down. Finally, Madam Shin said in a heavy tone. Chapter 2872. Mom, it's not our family that did her wrong. It's me. Son, although Ing is a little bad-tempered and impulsive, she doesn't have a bad heart. When she was married to you, she was nice to me and your dad. She was willing to buy you anything. This time she did it for you. Mom, how is she now? She was resting in the ward next door. Really? Help me up. I'll go and see her. Hearing that Wei Ing was in the ward, Shin Mingxi immediately stood up. After all, he felt guilty after knowing that Wei Ing had saved his life. But her brother took her away. Her brother? Wei Liao is here? Shin Mingxi was slightly surprised. Yeah, Wei Liao is still mad at our family, so we didn't have a pleasant conversation with him. He took Ing away before she woke up and I felt quite awkward. I understand. Mom, I'm sorry for making you and Dad worry about me. Don't say that. If it weren't for that woman Yen didn't come, did she? Shin Mingxi had been asking who had come to see him because he wanted to know if Yen had come. What do you expect from her? That woman only cares about her mother. Does she care about you? Son, wake up. Don't be silly. I know. She didn't come. She didn't even call. Mrs. Shin took her son's cell phone and handed it to him. Shin Mingxi didn't look at it because he trusted his mother. Mingxi, you've always been the pride of your father and I ever since you were young. As a rich kid, you didn't drink, gamble, or do drugs. All your friends were good kids. After you went to school, you excelled in both moral and academic performance. You even worked and studied abroad and got your own scholarship. I thought your life would be so smooth. I didn't expect. Mrs. Shin sighed softly as she said this. Shin Mingxi placed his hand on his mother's wrinkled face to comfort her. Mom, how can anyone have a smooth journey? However, it's always good to experience some setbacks. I wasn't rebellious in the past, but I didn't expect that after I became an adult, I would cause you and my father trouble. Fortunately, it's not too late to turn back. I hope I can break your hearts. What are you talking about? You will always be our son, our pride. Mom, look, your eyes are red. I'm fine now that I'm awake. It's fine as long as there's a nurse here. Go home and rest. Oh, I want to stay with you. Mrs. Shin insisted. Mom, you're in poor health and your blood pressure is high. If you're here, I won't be able to sleep well. If that happens, it'll backfire. Then, I'll go back. Go to sleep. Hearing her son's words, Mrs. Shin finally stopped insisting and left the hospital with the chauffeur and the nanny. He left the experienced maid to take care of Shin Mingxi. Young master, are you hungry? Do you want me to cook you some porridge? The doctor said that you should eat liquid food for the next few days. No need, Auntie Wu. I'm not hungry. I'll lie down for a while. In fact, Shin Mingxi's emotions were very complicated at this moment. He thought of his car accident, Yen, Wei Ing, and the others. Memories of the past came back to him. Downstairs in the hospital, Mrs. Shin bumped into Yen on her way out. What are you doing here? Mrs. Shin asked harshly. Chapter 2873. I heard Mingxi was in a car accident. I'm here to see him. Yen was obviously not confident. I don't need you to see him. Get out. Mrs. Shin pointed at the entrance of the hospital and shooed Yen away. I'm not here to get back together. You don't have to be afraid of me. Yen sneered. Of course I know. You're mistaken. I'm not afraid of you. I'm just disgusted. Mrs. Shin had always disliked Yen. It wasn't because she wasn't as rich as Wei Ing. Before the Hua family went bankrupt and Yen was still the young mistress of the Hua family, Mrs. Shin disliked her. First, Hua Jinghai had a bad reputation among the rich. Second, Shin Jiani was an arrogant mistress and was the public enemy of all the wives in the wealthy families. Third, Shin Jiani's son and daughter had bad morals and a bad reputation since they were little. So Mrs. Shin had always been against it. But to her surprise, her son was willing to leave the Shin family for this woman. But in the end he ended up like this. I know you disgust me. But I'm not here to see you. Yen wasn't polite to Mrs. Shin. My son doesn't want to see you. You're not him. You can't make decisions for him, Yen said in a tough tone. Don't waste your breath on me. I won't let you see Mingxi. You're such a heartless woman. Mingxi's kind and pure. He took pity on you and your mother, so he took care of you. I didn't expect you to bite the hand that feeds you and hurt him. If it weren't for you, nothing would have happened. Thank goodness my son is out of danger. Otherwise, do you think you'd still be standing here talking to me in one piece? Do you think I'll let you go? Mrs. Shen wanted to tear Hui Yanyan apart. But her years of upbringing in a wealthy family made her calm down and try not to say anything too extreme. I don't care. I want to see him with my own eyes. Then Hui Yanyan walked into the hospital. She didn't know about the accident until a few hours later. It was one of her girlfriends who told her about it. At that time she didn't believe it and thought it was a prank. Later, when she saw the urgent need for blood types on her WeChat moments and on the news, she realized that it was true. However, she could only be anxious because she did not have Rh-negative blood. Therefore, she left the child alone at home and drove in a hurry. She did not expect to meet Mrs. Shen here. Mrs. Shen saw that Hui Yanyan was stubborn and insisted on barging in. Very angry, "Stop her," Mrs. Shen ordered the bodyguards. Two burly bodyguards immediately stood in front of Hui Yanyan. "Get out of the way. Get lost. I already said that my son doesn't want to see you." Mrs. Shen gradually lost her patience. "I won't listen to you. I'm nobody to you. You have no right to interfere with me." Hui Yanyan's attitude was firm. Mrs. Shen finally couldn't take it anymore. She walked over and slapped Hui Yanyan hard across the face. "How dare you hit me?" Hui Yanyan looked at Mrs. Shen angrily. "I'm being polite by beating you up. You caused my son to be in such a pitiful state, so I should kill you to vent my anger. However, a lowly life like you isn't worth my time. Mingxi has been extremely kind to you. As far as I know, your house, car, money, and luxuries were all given to you by Mingxi. He didn't take anything back after you broke up with him, so don't bother him anymore. If you still have any dignity left, please disappear immediately and never come back to disturb him again." Mrs. Shen warned her word by word. You're tuning in to the Biao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.